Hi, I'm Kaylee, and these are all the books that I read in January. This is going to be a pretty short video because I only read 4 books. I got into a little bit of a reading slump in January, and I don't know, I just kind of felt stuck and I just wanted to watch TV and do other things, and I just didn't pick up that many books. But the books that I did read, I really enjoyed. Before we dive into the books that I read, I'm going to reach back here to our Booktuber Shoutout book, and we're going to shout out somebody randomly. Today's shout out goes to Seeking Stories. I will leave a link to their channel down in the description, so be sure to go over and subscribe to them. And please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and give this video a big thumbs up. If, like me, maybe you didn't do so good with your reading this past month. When I found myself in the middle of this, not really a reading slump, maybe like a mini reading slump, a baby reading slump, I usually, when that happens, I turn to an old favorite and I reread something that I haven't read in a while, or something that I just know I'm going to love. And in January, that was Hans Brinker or The Silver Skates by Mary Mapes Dodge. I have not reread Hans Brinker for more than a decade, I think. So it was really interesting going back and revisiting this old classic. I mean, I think I first read Hans Brinker when I was a teenager, but it has been quite a while. I think I've read it 3 times now. And it was funny to see how much of the story I had actually forgotten. Every time that something new would come up, I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that character, or I forgot about that scene or that plot twist. So it was almost like just rediscovering it again, brand new. Hans and his sister Gretel are poor. Their father was injured years ago and left with brain damage, so it is up to their mother to support the family. Hans tries to get work, but there are no jobs available in the winter in Holland. All the children in their village are excited for the grand skating race that will be held after Christmas, but Hans and Gretel only have cheap wooden skates that Hans made himself. This really was one of my favorite books as a child, and I just love it as an adult as well. There are so many different elements to the story, but it's so simple and just pretty. The writing is charming and sweet. The plot keeps my interest. I get so attached to the characters. Hans is such a plucky character, and it's really heartbreaking to see him striving so earnestly to help his family. Even when it means great personal sacrifice to himself, he is always willing to do the right thing, no matter the cost. Gretel is really sweet and cute. She's kind of in the background of the story, but her family really rely on her to bring cheerfulness and affection into their home. Gretel is kind of the emotional compass of the family. One of the things that I had forgotten is that a great deal of the story does not follow Hans or Gretel, but a group of boys from their village who are taking a sightseeing trip to neighboring towns and cities. Peter is the leader of the group, and they are joined by a British boy, Benjamin, who is visiting his Dutch cousin. And through their sightseeing, they talk a lot about the history of Holland and the culture, and there are chapters and chapters educating the reader about the history of famous battles and famous people and scientific achievements and beautiful architecture. I especially love the scenes that show particular traditions of Dutch culture at that time. There's this one scene where the boys visit a church to hear some beautiful music being played on the organ at a church service, and they are just in awe of this wonderful music. I really love that scene. It just shows the rich culture and the beautiful appreciation for the arts. I gave this one 4 stars. I always love coming back to this classic. All the rest of the books in this video are books that I received from a publisher in exchange for a free and honest review. I read The Forgotten Memories of Vera Glass, and this book blew my mind. Vera has this strange, empty feeling inside of her, as if something is missing from her life, but she can't remember what it is. When Vera realizes that her family and some of her classmates are also experiencing that same empty feeling, as if something is missing, she begins to investigate what she can't remember. This plot completely broke my brain. It was so exciting and masterfully constructed. It was amazing to see how the plot unfolded, since the reader can remember the things that Vera is forgetting. The reader has so much more information than Vera does. And that made it really interesting to see how Vera is trying to reconstruct facts that are left over from a memory that is gone. I really loved the world building in this book. Each person has an aptitude that is based on their genes. So they can control light, or maybe they can unlock doors, or they can make food sweet or something. Everybody has just that one thing that they can do. And it was so interesting to see how different people used their aptitudes in imaginative ways. The writing style is phenomenal. I am just completely in awe of the brilliance of this writing. It's so clever, and yet it just meets you in this very down-to-earth emotional place. It's like having a spaghetti dinner with your family suddenly becomes a major plot point. Spaghetti breaks your heart on page 30 of this book, okay? Somehow the writing just makes you love all these characters within a couple of paragraphs, and it really pulls you into Vera's world, and it just kind of plunks you down into the middle of this emotional scene and rips your heart out with a spaghetti dinner. These characters, my heart was broken and then healed and then broken and smashed and repaired again. So many times through this book, I fell in love with every single character. I cried 6 or 7 times through the entire book because I would fall in love with the character and then I would think, oh no, Vera is going to forget them. And I would just cry. Vera herself is an amazing main character. Her personality is so authentic and real. I really love the way that she just cuts right to the heart of every scene, looking past the social conventions and the barriers that people put up. She really sees the people around her, and through her eyes, we, the reader, see them too. I really loved the deep themes that are explored in this book, and it's in such a unique way. And of course, there's wonderful exploration of friendship and family and how the ordinary things of life are truly important. But the book also dives into tolerance and faith, truth, grief and depression, and what it really means to be compassionate. I'm just so impressed with the way that these deep subjects were treated with respect and gentleness. It's really, really beautiful and very meaningful. I just can't even describe how much I love this book. I wish I could give it 1,000,000 stars. But Goodreads only lets me give it 5, so I have to give it 5 stars. I also read a collection of fairy tales, Tales of Fearless Girls. This has stories from all around the globe, and each story has a fearless woman or girl who dives into adventure with courage and resourcefulness. And the stories have a wide range of settings in different cultures. I really loved how these strong women just use their wits to conquer every obstacle. There are so many wonderful positive messages in this book. The heroines have to prove their worth and stand on their own 2 feet. And they meet every challenge with a steadfast spirit. This book is just so inspiring. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous with whimsical style. I loved all the bright colors, the imaginative scenery. The artwork is full of energy and magic. I gave this 5 stars. And I also read Dragon Reign, which is a collection of short stories all about dragons. Some of them are benevolent, some of them are dangerous, all of them are mysterious and magical. There are dragons with mystical powers and dragons that will bargain with humans, exchanging magic for goods. There are baby dragons just out of the egg who need protection. There are dragons in captivity who will exact their revenge. I really enjoyed reading these imaginative stories. Each setting is so different, so interesting. All the dragons are so varied. And the writing style really pulls you into the magic where anything is possible. However, I felt like most of the stories didn't have a proper ending. It was almost like reading the first chapter of a novel and then you don't really get the rest of the story. the plot just kind of ends, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. I feel like a short story format should tell a complete story, and it just annoyed me that most of these stories are left kind of unresolved. However, these were a lot of fun to read, and I ended up giving this collection 3 stars. And those are the 4 books that I read in January. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what was your favorite book that you read this past month. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.